Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, I want to first off just say congratulations, because you made it through the Pokemon hobby in 2020, you made it through the beginning in 2021. And if anybody out there tells you that 2020 was not a crazy year for Pokemon, you could tell them to go shove it. And anyone out there that's going to say 2020 was similar to 2016, you could tell them to go shove it. Because truthfully, 2020 was the craziest year we've ever had in this hobby. And sure, a lot of the people out there are going to want to throw out 1999 and the craze back then. Listen, 2020 was a very distinct, very crazy year, and it's on its own pedestal all by itself. Not just because of the pandemic and everything that was going on there, not just because of the hype, but because of the money that was in the hobby. The money made or broke a lot of people. And some people went into 2020 and came out of it way better than they came in. And some people came out of 2020 way worse than they went in. So depending on where you are. But in this video, we're just going to talk about, so you made it through both those years. Now what? Where does the hobby go from here? Where do you go from here? And sometimes new collectors need to either be told this stuff or reminded of this stuff. And the same thing with people that have been in the hobby for a long time. Sometimes there are very simple things that go on in this hobby that you need to be reminded of, and you need to at least understand the foundations of this hobby. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video, is the now what are we going to do? Now we're going to just go back to what was the old norm. We're going to go back to just being patient, guys. For new sets, for all this modern stuff that comes out, just be patient. Relax. Take a breath. Still get your pre-orders in if you could get them at good prices. But if you don't get them at good prices, let them pass you by. Wait till the second or third wave comes for some of this stuff, just like it used to be. Product will be on the shelves again, especially when it comes to modern. And we've talked about it a bazillion other times, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. You're just going to get all your modern product at MSRP. And that's it, because it's back to that word, patience. And sure, maybe I'll go find some Sesame Street meme that has word of the day, patience, because that's what it's going to be. And then the second we're going to do is back to the patience of graded. You know, you're going to have to send away probably cards that deserve to be graded. Maybe the time of just sending out anything and everything, yeah, with prices that grading now costs, maybe that's going to go away. But you got to go remember, before, you could only send cards away for grading that were worth it. The high-end cards, a lot of these bulk and a lot of these very low dollar amount cards were never really super worth it. Don't get me wrong. There was always room for that $5 a card after grade and $10 a card after grading profit, which a lot of people did for a long time. But with that said, that was really pushed to the limit of what a lot of cards in the hobby were really capable of doing. And that mindset was really pushed almost to the breaking point. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the people that sent those cards away at these lower tier grading, just because of the simple, call it inflation or whatever you want with the grading prices, yeah, maybe some of those will end up being pretty well in the long run. But only time will tell for this. And then another thing is we have to be patient on prices for everything. And when I say prices on everything, I'm talking about vintage and modern, but mainly vintage now. Maybe we can go back to the days of buying, binder collections and stuff like this. Things where prices had increased to numbers that were no longer worth it to buy anything. But as time goes on and the market starts to settle a little bit, this is the time you should be excited about. And we're probably not there yet. There's still going to have to be some retracing going on in a lot of different areas in order to get to a lot of those really top high-end buying opportunities. But with that said, there could be a lot of good deals floating out right now, especially a lot of these different modern sets. If you do believe in modern, and that's not here nor there, if you believe in it, there's one thing modern is, and that's freaking awesome artwork, awesome cards. If some of these cards start to trickle on the market and you've been wanting to pick up these cards and you really do love these modern sets, your time could be coming very, very soon to start making a lot of these moves. Because you got to remember, this hobby is and has always been a marathon. And I've talked about it before. How do you run a marathon? In a marathon, you do not sprint off the starting line and run as fast as you can, because at the end, you will just be dead. And you know what? You won't even finish the race because you'll be so tired. The people who win marathons keep a steady pace throughout. They don't really, go all out at the beginning. It's just a strong, steady pace. And the people that race to the front of the pack and are running as hard as they can, eventually, those people at that strong, steady, marathon type pace eventually start to overtake those people until eventually you'll be crossing the finish line. And yes, it's a proverbial finish line in this hobby, and maybe there is no finish line. But there is like a hypothetical finish line for a lot of different things you can be doing in this hobby. And when I say the finish line for a lot of different things is, I've talked about it before. That's finding your niche. And I don't care what your niche is. It could be whatever you want within the hobby. But now you could actually be laser focused. You can really start to have a little bit more tunnel vision and start to dive deeper into different areas of the hobby. And right now, and especially in 2020, I felt a lot of people were just super spread out. Their eyes were just, panning throughout the entire hobby, trying to play catch up for all this stuff, worrying about, super ultra modern, worrying about print runs, worrying about different sets and all the stuff that just comes normal with this hobby. But I felt people might have been a little overwhelmed by it. But now, this is your time. This is when you can start to find your niche. And I don't care what your niche is. Why don't you, maybe a lot of people out there listening, there's some sets that you really wanted to start going after, really start to complete, become an expert. It is not hard in this hobby to become an expert at one subsection of the hobby. It is extremely, if not impossible, to become an expert at everything. And I've said it. No one is an expert. And anybody that tells you that is straight up lying. There's too much in this hobby to be an expert at 100% of it. But with the amount of information out there for different sets, for different cards, you can be an expert in areas. And you know what? Maybe a good place to start for a lot of people is just find a set that you like. And I don't care what that set is. If you like Aquapolis, go after Aquapolis. If you like, Dragon Frontiers, go after Dragon Frontiers. If you like Supreme Victors, go after Supreme Victors. What's a black and white set? Do Dark Explorers. If you like Dark Explorers, go after Dark Explorers. Start finishing sets. Start building your binders. Start, really going in depth. And I don't care, those are just examples of different sets, but find any set that intrigues you. Understand the set list. Start to understand the cards. Start to understand the secret rares. What were the chases like? Again, we can't really talk about print runs, but what do we expect the print runs to be? What kind of cards are out there on the secondary market? Is eBay flooded with these cards? Start to really, pick apart these different subsections, because now is your time, guys. This is the answer to the question of now what. This is the what. This is when you start to focus, and this is the passion in the hobby. It's starting to do stuff like this. And guess what, guys? As you start to do this, you will now be that marathon runner, and you can start to knock off a lot of these sets. And as you knock off the sets, you will become an expert in more and more and more areas. And as this happens, there's nothing, what I'm about to say is about to be the most cliche thing in the history of this channel, but knowledge is power. It's true. There's a reason why they put knowledge is power on posters, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's power. And you want to have some power in this hobby. But now is your time, guys. If you're not excited about the direction the hobby is going right now, then this isn't the channel for you. I'll tell you right now. But if you are excited, this is the channel and this is the time. And, you know, there's so many different reasons for that. One of the big reasons being that right now, the hobby is still so strong. You know, throw the little downturn we're seeing out the window, because at the end of the day, all the downturn is just a little bit more of the leveling out of what should be the norm. You should be able to go into Walmart. You should be able to go into Target. And if you want to pick up a pack of whatever the newest set is, you should be able to do that. And that's just what we're going to go back to. But the cards, the sets will always be in demand. People will always be thirsty for that knowledge. And it's a thirst for knowledge. And that's a beautiful thing about this hobby, is there's so much that you can now start to absorb. Guys, this is a awesome time. If you do want to go maybe a little bit more broader sense, like I said earlier in the video, instead of more of that pinpoint accuracy, yeah, go ahead. I know I mentioned it, but start buying your collections that are just full of different cards. You know, you should by this point know exactly what you're looking for, and you should instantly be able to recognize that if a collection is or is not a good value. I can't help you. You need to know that by now if that's a route you're going to go. And then start picking that collection apart. Start pulling out the cards. And yeah, there's the real easy ones. All right, I'll give you some advice. You want to go after real easy stuff? Sure, you can go after sets that are just chase cards, or you go after sets that 2020 definitely proved that people freaking love their Pikachus, Charmanders, Bulbasaurs, and Squirtles. Yeah, those are your common cards. They're a dime a dozen. But you know what? You can pull out a couple of those cards. You know, either look at condition, send them away for grade, and wait long term. You can make some money. Or you pull sets that have Charizards and all this shit that people have been doing forever. But as you buy those binder collections, and they're big and they have a ton of cards, and hopefully they have a ton of cards that you've never seen before from sets that you haven't experienced. But then you'll get to do your research that way, and maybe that's what you like to do. But I don't know, you know, what's going to be your niche and what you're going to find fun or how you're going to grow. You need to figure that out for yourself. And at the end of the day, whatever you do decide to do, make sure you enjoy it. Because at any point in this hobby, you feel like you're not having fun, or you're not excited about something, or you're not happy, you're doing it wrong. I can't ever tell you when you're doing something wrong, but I can, without question, tell you, if you're not having fun right now, you are doing something wrong, and you really need to look in the mirror and figure out what that is. Because this is the time. This is the time I've been waiting for. This is the time that I've been so excited about. And I hope you guys are super excited about it as well. Where do you guys see yourself in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? You know, if we ever see another kind of Black Swan event like this, a crazy year, are you going to be positioned? Are you going to be ready? Are you going to stick around in this hobby? Are you going to grow? Are you going to be excited? It is an awesome time, guys. But that's all this video is. It's an answer to the now, what do we do? And that's it. We continue doing what we're doing. We go back to the quote-unquote old norm. We keep enjoying the hobby. If you like modern, go after modern. Just don't spend over money. Be smart with your money. Have patience. You know, find your niche. Do all these things. And you know what? None of this has ever changed. But people just forgot about a lot of this stuff, or they were just got too excited and they were just looking at too much different areas of the hobby at one time. But that's all it boils down to, guys. For the answer of that, now what? But hey, listen, guys. Thank you as always for listening to these videos. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I think you guys are honestly the best listeners on any channel on all YouTube. But if you somehow made it to the end of this video and not subscribed, do me a favor, go down below, hit that subscribe button. Other than that, if you support this channel, please hit the like button, because with the YouTube algorithm, it helps out a lot. Really helps me to grow this channel. Other than that, I'll catch you guys on the next video.